Presidential experts rank Biden 14th among presidents in a survey, and Trump comes in dead last. We're going to talk about that, what I think the actual rankings are, and what all this means for the propaganda machine that is going into the next election. In other news, the Donald also gets ordered to pay $355 million to no one. There is no victim in this case. We'll go over some of the details of this, some of the reaction, and the truckers initially saying that they won't go into New York, and then saying that, oh yeah, maybe we will. We'll go over some of that and more. Fani Willis gives her testimony late last week, talking about what happened with her and Nathan Wade, and even MSNBC comes out and says that her campaign is boned, well, more than she was, by Nathan Wade. And to make that 3 shootings hit the news and then almost immediately disappear because, well, they didn't fit the narrative. It is going to be all of this and more. So strap yourselves in, grab a snack, get some friends in here, and let's get started. And I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. You know, I knew that I should have gone and organized all my tabs last night after I got done putting everything up that we were going to have for the news. I know I should have. I know I should have. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't organize all my tabs last night. I got everything out, and it was getting on to 9:30, 10 o'clock, and like I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? I'll just go to bed. I'll get off work tomorrow, and I mean, I know there's a lot, but I'll get off work tomorrow and we'll go ahead and get everything organized and it'll be fine. I'll still have plenty of time. I'll get some dinner, organize all the tabs, and we'll still have plenty of time before we get started at 6 o'clock. I put my last tab in place at 6:02. Just to give you an idea how much there is. And there is a ton today. Will we get through all of it? I don't know. Will we do a Thursday stream? I don't know. Some of this I know is going to be duplicates off of this other stuff, but there's a lot of really ranty stuff off of this too. This might be a 2-stream week for us here. Just with all the stuff that is just Donald-centric too. And I always get frustrated on these weeks where it's Donald-centric. While I have made expressly clear that I won't vote for Donald Trump, it's a trap of the news media, and it is a little bit of a trap for those of us in the independent media as well, where it's just every story is about Trump, even though he's not in office. He can't make policy. He can't do anything. Meanwhile, the guy who can make policy is just fucking up over and over and over again. But we also had a little bit of fun with this one here this week, because 2 major shootings and a third minor one. All 3 of them disappeared from the news within hours. Not a day, not 24 hours, but within hours because they didn't fit the narrative. That is hilarious. Liz Cheney may be getting herself into the race. It's just, there's a lot of stuff up here, plus things I like and things that I hate. And the rules of acquisition as well. So we got a lot to go over here. We're going to get right into it. And I mean, I'm going to say right off the bat, and Mogwai's going to call me on this, whether now or later on in the Discord, but I know I've been doing song lyrics as the intro since I came back from my hiatus in September. I don't know why I continue to forget to put a song up there at the beginning of the stream, but I blow my mind. I get there and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't have a song set up. But anyway, we got a lot to go over here today on Contemporary. Video Game Study Lounge is down, by the way. The usual background music, the video game music that I love. Luckily, the Star Wars Lo-Fi is copyright free as well. If you guys enjoy what you are hearing, go check out Closed on Sunday on YouTube. It's a short playlist. It's live. It's 24/7, like the Video Game Study Lounge, but it is a very, very short. I think we'll go through the entire playlist in the time that we're here twice, because I think the playlist is only an hour long. Although it may be longer at this point, because when I tuned in today, there was a song on the playlist that I had never heard before, so it might go longer now. They might have new music on it, but yeah, definitely go check that out. You'll know you're there because you'll see Ahsoka sitting there studying for her Jedi exam, just like the Lo-Fi girl. So go check that out, but let's get down into the news and let's get started. Before we do, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as The Daily Ignoramus and Overruled with KTZed. KTZed had a really good story on this past weekend. I recommend, again, it's always on Sundays. Go check that out. Daily Ignoramus is daily, and he is tearing up the charts right now. I'm a little bit envious of Steven Ignoramus. I'd love to have the viewer count that he has. Again, I know that this is a hard time slot to get into because there is so much else going on at this time of day, but you know, that's why we have the replays. That's why we have the Spotify, the SoundCloud. I see you guys coming back and checking out the replays as well. Thank you. You are very much appreciated too. Let's get into the news, shall we? And as always, feel free to live chat in here. The more you chat, the more we get introduced to the front page and the algorithm. All right. That's enough filibustering. Let's get started. And first, we're going to talk about Jimmy Carter. This past Monday was President's Day, and there was a lot in the news about President's Day here, so we're going to get into that here. I'm watching myself dance right now because, you know, with this entire intro that I just did on Rumble, like if you have your Rumble muted and you're off the screen on Rumble, it'll just pause whatever's going on there, so where you go back is on the monitor where you covered up the screen. So I'm just sitting here watching myself dancing from the cold open. Alright, I've filibustered enough. Let's get into this. Alright, starting with CNN today. Jimmy Carter's spirit as strong as ever after a year in hospice, grandson says. Yes, he has been in hospice for a year. And that kind of carries on to the theory that I've had for a long time that Jimmy Carter is probably not going to die anytime soon. In fact, he might live forever. Jimmy Carter will not die until the very last guinea worm has been eradicated from the world. If we want to keep Jimmy Carter alive forever, keep 5 or 10 guinea worms in a petri dish somewhere. He's already dead? Was he? Or is that just because he was dead before any of this? I didn't see any news on him being dead. Did he die today? Because he was not dead as of last night. Find out. No, as far as what we're seeing, he does appear to still be alive. At least according to this. He's probably not doing real well. No, he is still alive. At least that's what the initial guess is, but yes, he has been a year in hospice at this point. And yeah, keep a few guinea worms in a jar somewhere. Just keep him there, and he will live forever. A lot of people thought, and I was one of them, that when Rosalind passed away, that he was going to be like within a couple weeks. I'm actually a little bit impressed that he has made it this far. Maybe he should run against Biden in the primary. He might win. He still has another term. He only got one term the first time. Eileen Grave reporting. As former President Carter marked 1 year in hospice care on Sunday, his family celebrated his resolve and expressed gratitude for the support they've received. After a year in hospice on a daily basis, we have no expectations for his body, but we know the spirit is strong as ever, Jason Carter, Jimmy's grandson said in a video that aired on CBS Sunday morning. Now 99, Jimmy Carter is the oldest living U.S. president in history. He has survived I'm butchering the name of that. Metastatic brain cancer, liver cancer, and a number of health scares, including brain surgery after a fall in 2019. He entered hospice on February 2023 after a series of hospital stays. I'd vote for him because my vote doesn't count in Georgia anyway. In hospice, an interdisciplinary team of professionals who specialize in end-of-life care address the whole person. They work to help manage pain and the person's physical needs, as well as their mental and spiritual distress. Hospice also helps the family in coordinate care. There's no time limit on how long a person can receive hospice care. Many patients choose to receive care at home or in other familiar environments. 1 year after entering hospice care, President Carter continues to be at home with his family. The Carter family is grateful for the many expressions of love they have received after they continue to respect for their privacy during this time, the Carter family said in a statement on Sunday. And CNN is right. I can't believe I just said those words, but CNN is right. There is no time limit for how long you can be in hospice care. However, typically, your typical stay in hospice is like 4 to 12 weeks. I mean, that is the final step. People don't typically make it a year in there. They can make it longer if they need to. And again, as I said before, I'm pretty sure that as long as they keep a guinea worm in the jar, Jimmy Carter is going to live forever. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. I admire his spirit. Presidential Carter, and I was not alive at the time. I wasn't born until 84. Presidential Carter, I could not stand. I think he was a goofball, and I think he was a fuck-up. Post-presidential Jimmy Carter is probably one of the most inspirational human beings in the world. All the charity work that he did, everything that going out and building houses for Habitat for Humanity himself as a former president. This is a guy who did a great number of things for people in his post-presidency, and you got to admire him for that. So, we will see how long you remain on this earth, Jimmy Carter. In other President's Day news, holy shit, that lag. That is how you know we have way too many tabs open here. And I got another window over here. Plus my monitor is all over on this screen here. Just of the things I like and things that I hate today. Speaking of Jimmy Carter, DNC omits Jimmy Carter in now deleted President's Day post celebrating living Dem presidents. Andrew Mark Miller reporting for Fox News. The DNC raised eyebrows on social media on Monday, President's Day, after posting a picture of all the living Democrat presidents but omitting 99-year-old Jimmy Carter. In celebrating living Democrat presidents, the Democrat Party forgot Jimmy Carter, radio host Jason Rantz posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. The post, which has now been deleted, showed a picture of former President Clinton, former President Obama, President Brandon, and the caption, Happy President's Day. Former President Carter, who recently surpassed the 1 year mark in hospice care, was not included. I don't know that that was so much an oversight as the point of he is in a hospice care, his body is not doing well, and I'm sure that this photo was taken months in advance because that's how the propaganda gets planned. And they didn't think he was going to make it. So, I don't think it was done with malice. The DNC did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Fox News Digital. That's probably because they hate you, Fox News. And yeah, there was probably not any malice with that one. Let's grab one from the Hill. Speaking of President's Day, presidential experts rank Biden 14th among presidents in survey. Trump comes in last. You know why? Because of course he did. From Sarah Sayak. In a recent survey conducted by a panel of experts specializing in the American presidency, President Biden was ranked 14th best president, while his likely 2024 opponent found himself at the very, very bottom. That's not going to appear in a campaign ad somewhere. The 2024 Presidential Greatness Project Expert Survey, by the way, which was conducted from November 15th to December 31st, included current and recent members of the President and Executive Politics section of the American Political Science Association, which is the foremost organization of social science experts in the presidential politics. The experts ranked Abraham Lincoln as America's greatest president. And that's how you know it's a bullshit poll right there. Biden was placed ahead of Wilson, Reagan, Grant. Former President Obama was ranked number 7, 8 spots higher than when the experts were polled last year. Trump received the lowest ranking in the survey at 45th, placing below Buchanan at 44th, Andrew Johnson at 43rd, Franklin Pierce at 42nd, and William Henry Harrison at 41st. I wouldn't say that any of those people there belong at the bottom. The poll also ranked the partisan and ideological differences among respondents, with the surveyors arguing it did not tend to make a major difference overall. Honk honk. However, a noticeable partisan split emerged in the rankings for Obama and Biden, with Democrat respondents placing them at an average of 6th and 13th, while Republicans ranked them at 15th and 30th respectively. Well, I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I am a true independent. Here is my presidential... Well, I'm not going to go through all 46 of them. I'm going to go through a couple of the top ones, a couple of the bottom ones, and of course, because we're doing this propagandistically to influence the next election, where our 2 likely presidential candidates for next year rank in the rankings. Number 1 president, and by the way, my rankings are absolutely correct and cannot be challenged. Number 1 president in history, Calvin Coolidge. You know why? Because he didn't fucking do anything. I would say number 2, George Washington, for the fact that he was able to get the power and relinquish it, even though there were a lot of people that said that, maybe he should just stay until the day he dies and become our new king of this country, or at least that's what the legend says. I would say probably number 3 would go Reagan, maybe. I don't know. That's a really hard one. Coming up from the bottom, the 45th in the ranking is Woodrow Wilson, of course. The worst president in human history, the father of the modern progressive movement. 44, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who literally interned people in this country. 43rd, Abraham Lincoln, while he is considered to be one of the great founders of this country, he was also the one who suspended habeas corpus and eliminated the ability for people to say, fuck it, I don't want to be part of this union anymore. Those are our bottom presidents. The President Trump is nowhere near the bottom. Now, for our propagandistic purposes, for Trump, I would have to probably put him about 7th or 8th. Donald Trump, in fierce opposition, did a lot of very, very good things for middle-class America, while making it easier for upper-class America. And I know this is where people think, oh, the Republicans are just for the rich and everything. He made it very easy for upper-class America to come back out and hire more people. A lot of people's wallets, 401ks, home ownership looked a lot better under President Trump. Why I don't rank him higher than 7th, 8th, I could even take him down to 10th, honestly, in ranking. Because of the nature of his outsiderness, which was a selling point for me in the beginning, made such a frothing at the mouth for people to try to eliminate him from the contention of the presidency, to the point that it hindered his ability to come back out and do more. His personality and, again, his stepping from outside the politics and the fact that so many people were in opposition to him made it hard for him to be a truly great president. Maybe not anything that's his fault, maybe it's not anything that he did, but the fact that he came from the outside and so many people wanted to literally see him dead knocks him down a few points in as far as presidential greatness. In policy, of course. Now, I think that those same things that I just mentioned make him one of the better presidents because he did come from the common man, from the common life. Even though, yes, he's a billionaire, this, that, and the next thing. When he came from outside the political club, that would rank him higher as far as my personal, but as far as policy goes, yeah, he's probably 10th. Biden is nowhere near the bottom because I gave a lot of much, much worse presidents to go around the bottom. Biden is probably in the high 30s. Might even be in the low 20s. While his party has tried to spend us into oblivion, there's been enough opposition to him to keep it from happening. He has done some good things. Not very many, but he has done some good things as the president. He is dead. And that does force his hand into not being able to do something. So, yeah, 30th, I would say Biden is. Obama? Obama is probably 35th, 36th. And again, Obama did some good things as the president. Not very many, but he did do some good things as president. And was able to push the agenda that he had, as authoritarian as it was. And he also recognized that when the chips were on the table and he couldn't be the green agenda anymore, he told the green agenda to go and suck it and started drilling as fast and as hard as he could. He did recognize where the problems were and what could cost him re-election. I know it was all for politics, but he had the intelligence to not take on the worst aspects of his party when it became politically inconvenient. So, those are the definitive rankings. I might go through and actually make a list and put all the presidents into order. But that's where I see the main contenders that we talk about here. Him or his handlers. Biden, in most cases that becomes his handlers. Alright, now for the title card. From the USA Today, Trump hit with $453.5 million penalty in New York real estate fraud lawsuit. This is a transcript. I should really pre-read some of this stuff. This is a transcript. I'm not going to do this one. Oh, I had one more before I got into the Trump stuff anyway. Huh, who didn't remind me of that one? Oh wait, no, that's me. This is live, folks. Liz Cheney suggests she may enter the 2024 presidential race. Excuse me while I throw up. From the Daily Wire News, former Rep. Liz Cheney suggested during an interview over the weekend that she may enter the 2024 presidential election, even though the process is already well underway. Cheney made the remarks during a Sunday CNN interview with Jake Tapper on State of the Union while discussing the state of the election. I haven't endorsed anyone in this race. I certainly would never support Trump, she said, and we know that Trump will do. Because he's telling us every day, and anybody who has spent any time overseas, who has spent any time studying the history of the autocracies and the autocrats know that we have to listen to what Donald Trump is saying. We should have listened closer to your father. And your mom should have swallowed. I don't care if that gets me banned from YouTube. Tapper responded by asking, "Are you still considering it, or would you rule it out?" "I haven't made any decisions yet," Cheney responded. "I'm going to do whatever's necessary to defeat Donald Trump." Tapper asked Cheney if she would endorse Biden over Trump. "I'm not going to make any announcements or endorsements this morning," Cheney responded, "but the most important thing is to defeat Trump. And I'll do whatever it takes to do that." Let's see if this is cued or not.
Former Republican Congresswoman.
No, it is not cued. So, we're not going to watch the whole interview on this one. Honestly, as much as it would make me lose the delicious dinner that I just had. By the way, Factor Meals, if you haven't tried it and you get the advertisement in the trial, try it. It's fantastic. This is not an official endorsement, by the way. It's just a matter of that's what I had for dinner today, and It was really, really, really good. I don't want to puke that back up, but on the other end of things, with Cheney, with that neoconservative root of things, the thing with Trump, and the fact that they're focusing on him, they want him to be the nominee and everything else with that, is they want him to be humiliated from losing to an absolute vegetable twice to show that populism doesn't work. Well, I want the same thing for the Nikki Haley's and the Liz Cheneys of the world. Go ahead, get in there. Lose your home states. Stay in through Super Tuesday and everywhere else because, hey, then we can show the world how hated your agenda is, how hated your pro-war and your warmongering is. Liz, do it. Abso-fucking-lutely do it. Alright, now we get into the main news. So, from ABC to start, here's a look inside Donald Trump's $355 million civil fraud verdict as an appeals fight looms. Michael R. Sisak from ABC reporting. On the witness stand last year, Trump proclaimed, "I have a lot of cash," which he probably doesn't. I'm going to fact check that right there and say that's probably a lie. After Friday's eye-popping penalty in his New York civil fraud trial, he's going to need it, and maybe more. A judge ordered the former president to fork over $355 million of his fortune, plus interest, finding he lied for years about his wealth on financial statements. He used to secure loans to make deals as he built the real estate empire that vaulted him to fame and the presidency. The frauds found here leap off the page and shock the conscious. Judge Engoron wrote in a 92-page decision that spares Trump's company from closure but forces it into years of court supervision, among other sanctions. The ruling, after a 2.5 months trial in New York Attorney General Letitia James's lawsuit, cuts to the core of Trump's image as a wealthy, shrewd real estate mogul turned political force. The financial penalty, staggering for even a businessman who's seen casinos, an airline, and other ventures fail, yeah, they had to put that propaganda in there, adds to Trump's mounting legal debts and could put the Republican presidential frontrunner in a serious cash crunch as he campaigns to retake the White House. Trump, who's dealing with 4 criminal cases, decried Friday's ruling as election interference, which he's not entirely wrong on as well, and has vowed to appeal. Look at the case, the penalties, and what's next for Trump. Engoron ruled that Trump engaged in a years-long conspiracy with top executives at his company and the Trump Organization to deceive banks and insurers about the size of his wealth and the true value of such properties as Trump Tower in Manhattan and his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. Engoron, who ruled before the trial that Trump and his co-defendants committed fraud with his financial statements, found Trump liable on 5 of the 6 remaining claims in James's lawsuit: falsifying business records, issuing false financial statements, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and conspiracy to falsify business records. 2 former longtime Trump Organization executives, Weisselberg and Jeffrey McConney, were also found liable for insurance fraud. Engoron decided the case because of state law doesn't allow for juries in this type of lawsuit, which sought what's known as equitable relief and has different rules than other cases with big money penalties. Also, he noted, neither side asked for a jury. Trump could ultimately end up owing $500 million or more as a result of Friday's verdict. Now, let's talk about this for just a moment and what's actually happening here, what this means going into this, and what's going to happen because of this. Now, $350 million is nothing to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. And he allegedly is going to have 30 days to come up with this cash. But the biggest problem, and the reason that this episode is titled the way that it is because there is no victim in this case, and there's actually nobody to pay the damages to. They say they're paying the damages to the state of New York. Well, the state of New York, number one, should have been assessing their own property and their own taxes. The same with the banks. Now, when you're coming into millions and billions of dollars of real estate, there are a lot of people in New York that do this, and there is some sense to me thinking to myself, hey, are some of these people actually being set up? So they have done the, quote, wrong thing that everybody does. And then if they ever get too uppity, if they try to get into influence policy or anything else, especially now that there's an actual precedent for it, the Attorney General, the local courts, or Judge Engeron himself can come out and say, oh, hey, you didn't play ball with us. You didn't donate to the right political campaigns. You didn't support the right legislation. Oh, wouldn't it be a shame if we looked in and saw the fact that, oh, hey, you've been overvaluing your property to get better loans? I mean, Kathy Hochul herself has come out and assured New York business people and people intending to start businesses in New York, hey, no, this isn't going to be a problem. No, come back in, start a business. This is a one-time thing, which is basically her coming back out and saying, oh yeah, no, we're actually doing this to fuck with the political enemy that we don't like. If you have to come out and say, oh no, this is probably never going to happen again, so just don't worry about it. It's political targeting, and I hope that Trump's lawyers are smart enough to come back out and point that out in the appeal. Kathy Hochul saying that she's not going to impose the same kind of rule on other people. At least not right away. But if I owned a business in New York, especially if I had for a long time, I'd be shitting bricks right now. I would be calling my financial advisors and saying, what Democrats can I donate to? Until I can get myself out of New York. Because, yeah, they're all doing the same thing. All the banks, and even the banks themselves, testified in and said, yeah, but we gave the the oversized loans, but he paid everything back. We're all good. We're all in square standing right now. We're not victims here. He, of course, is also barred from running any of his businesses, which at some point may be a part of the strategy. I don't necessarily know that it would go as evil as people like the Beanie Boy Tim Pool are saying that it is. And yeah, he's been... Tim Pool is not somebody I normally listen to, but with stuff like this, I have been listening a little bit and hearing him come out and say, oh, well, they're twirling the mustache. It's evil, and they're going to come back over and take over everything, and they're just going to seize it. Well, they could. As a real estate mogul, Trump himself probably can't go out and sell a building that he would need to go back and pay off this fine, which, I mean, he can go sell Trump Tower. Especially if he can't do business out of it. He can go sell Trump Tower right now and make well more than $355 million, and then probably turn around and fund the rest of his campaign just off of that one building in there. But, you know, he can't go and sell that. And what real estate agent is going to come back and work with him at that point either, at the point that we're sitting at here? Oh yeah, no, I'll help. I would love that juicy commission. Oh wait, that's Trump Tower? No. Yeah, no, we're not going to do this. So then the state comes in and seizes it, says, oh, it's Trump Tower. It's not worth $1.5 billion. It's worth $30 million. And now you're still on the hook for $325 million plus interest. You better start writing those checks, Donald. But again, the question is who is he paying the damages to? There's no victim in this case. And furthermore, and I know this is different for those of us in the middle class. People are bringing up the idea of, hey, I've got a $120,000 home here, and I can go back out to the bank and now say that my home is worth $1 million, and the bank just has to trust me. No, that's not how any of this is going to work. By any stretch of the imagination, that's not how any of this is going to work. You don't get to do this, but New York business people get to, especially if they donate to the right people. The Associated Press reporting, Trump avoids corporate death penalty in civil fraud case, but his businesses will still get slammed. Bernard Condon reporting. Trump won't face the corporate death penalty after all. A New York judge on Friday spared the ex-president the worst-case punishment as he ruled in a civil case alleging Trump fraudulently misrepresented financial figures to get cheaper loans and other benefits. Still, Trump got slammed hard, facing big cash penalties outside the supervision of his companies and restrictions on his borrowing. In a pretrial ruling last year, the same judge threatened to shut down much of the Republican president frontrunner's business by calling for a dissolution of the corporate entities that hold many of his marquee properties. That raised the specter of possible fire sales of Trump Tower, a Wall Street skyscraper, and other properties. But New York Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engoron called off the dissolution. Instead, he said the court would appoint 2 monitors to oversee the Trump organization to make sure it doesn't continue to submit false figures. It's a complete reversal, said real estate lawyer Adam Lightman Bailey. There's a big difference between having to sell your assets and a monitor who gets to look over your shoulder. In his ruling, Engoron banned Trump from serving as an officer or director in any New York corporation for 3 years, prohibited him from taking out loans with New York banks, and his company and other defendants have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in fines. Lulu Lunar, which, by the way, that's a new chatter over here on the Rumble side, says court cases feel fake or something is off. The same with Alex Jones. Well, they put chemicals in the water in the Alex Jones case, and they turned the frickin' frogs gay. This is possibly the worst hit from the ruling as cash drain. Trump and his businesses were told they would have to pay $355 million for ill-gotten gains. Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Trump Jr., who helped run the businesses, were ordered to pay $4 million each. Trump's former chief financial officer was ordered to pay $1 million for a total judgment of $364 million. I don't think there was any way Trump can continue to operate his business as usual, said Syracuse University law professor Gregory Germain. It's a lot of money. The penalties will slam Trump's finances. At a moment, he is facing another steep legal bill. Stemming from several criminal cases, Trump separately was hit with $88 million in judgments in sexual abuse and defamation lawsuits brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. And, I mean, on that one, there is at least a victim in that case. Somebody who is receiving the financial penalty, whether you agree with it or you don't, which I do not. That one at least makes sense as far as a lawsuit goes. But again, with what's going on with the Engoron case, it's $355 million to nobody. Trump is also required to pay interest on the dates when he received benefits from his alleged fraud. That so-called prejudgment interest adds another $100 million to Trump's bills, according to New York's Attorney General. Well, this all needs to get appealed. Especially, again, the fact that there was no victim. And, excuse me, I would honestly come out and say that there needs to be a move of venue. There is a conflict of interest by having this tried in New York, especially given the fact that Letitia James ran on the fact that I'm going to get Trump, I'm going to shut him down. I don't know what venue would be fair at this point. And I'm neutral on this. I'm not partisan on this. I wouldn't, I know a lot of Trump people would say, well, go take the lawsuit out and try it in South Dakota or Wyoming or anything else, where it's going to be so partisan in the other direction. And no liberal is going to accept the verdict from there. I don't know where there would be a place where you could try this, feel that he got a fair trial, and feel like both sides would think that everything was fair, as partisan as we become. But I don't think that doing this in a court that's overseen by the Attorney General of New York, who is pushing to end the financial empire of Donald Trump, I don't think that's completely right either. Now, as far as what he's going to do for the $355 million? Well, a couple out of Nevada, Grant and Elena Cardone, have come up with a possible solution, although I don't know that the numbers are there. You want to see, by the way, liberal heads explode? Show them this, even though most of them have seen it already, because MSDNC told them that they are supposed to hate it and go and report it. GoFundMe. Stand with Trump. Fund the $355 million unjust judgment. With a goal on the fundraiser of $355 million. So far, over 4 days, $761,212 has been raised for this. The description. Hi, my name is Elena Cardone, and I'm the wife of Grant Cardone, mother, and an ardent supporter of American values and advocate for justice. I stand unwaveringly with President Trump in the face of what I see as an unprecedented and unfair treatment by certain judicial elements in New York. The recent legal battles he faces are not just an attack on him, but an attack on the very ideas of fairness and due process that every American deserves. I'll touch on that in just a moment. It's a moment that calls into question the balance of justice and the application of law disproportionately aimed at silencing a voice that has been at the forefront of advocating for American strength, prosperity, and security. In standing with Trump, we're upholding the cause of every business owner and entrepreneur who believes in the fight against a system that increasingly seeks to penalize dissent and curb our freedoms. The fact that a business owner did a loan with a bank, never defaulted, nor missed a payment, pays back the loan with interest and caused no financial damage to anybody, yet the governor overreaches and slaps a business owner with a $355 million ruling should terrify all business owners and entrepreneurs. Is this government seizing assets, seeking financial ruin? This is more than a legal fund. It's a call to all business owners and entrepreneurs to rally in defense of all businesses, and for a man who has never hesitated to stand in defense of us. That might be going a little bit far, but I understand where you're going with this. This fundraiser, therefore, is not merely about raising the ruling amount. It's about making a stand. It's about showing that when one of us is targeted for championing the values that make America great, he does not stand alone. We stand with him, shoulder to shoulder, ready to support, defend, and fight back against a system that threatens to undermine the very foundations of our republic. Now, there are some very, very honorable things in this statement. And a lot of people are out here ready to tell you, this is against... It's oh my god! It's against the rules of GoFundMe. And in the TOS of GoFundMe, it says that GoFundMe is not allowed to raise money for the defense of violent crimes or financial crimes. But this is a little bit where the lawsuit thing shoots the Democrats in the foot on this one. Now, this and the E. Jean Carroll case both were not tried as a criminal manner, which is why it was so easy for them to go back out and say, hey, no, we don't like you, so fuck you, pay me. That's exactly the reason why it was so easy for them to come out and do that, because it was a civil suit. There's a much lower threshold of evidence, and usually the plaintiffs have a much easier time seeking some sort of financial relief from them. I mean, you can sue a ham sandwich in this country. But with this being a civil suit, this actually falls within the TOS of GoFundMe. Not to mention, GoFundMe is going to make a buttload of money off of this if they raise all the money for this, which I don't think they're going to do. I don't think that's going to happen. But $761,000 and that's an impressive amount over 4 days, with all of MAGA being out there. But yeah, this is 100% within the confines. I don't think you should donate to this. because I would need to know about Elena Cardone and Grant Cardone before I could greenlight going and donating to this. But the thing of that is it's not GoFundMe's business, except for what they're going to take off the top of it. It's literally between you and Elena Cardone and the Orange Man. If you make the decision for yourself to go back and donate to this. And it's hilarious how many people are trying to get this all shut down because you can't do that. And I remember how sainted GoFundMe was when they changed that TOS, because that wasn't in the TOS originally. They changed that for the Covington kids and for Kyle Rittenhouse. They changed the rules because they didn't want Kyle Rittenhouse raising a defense fund off of GoFundMe. That's what made Give, Send, Go so popular, which I like Give, Send, Go. I do. Let's see. Lulu Lunar is out here still. He's got the "This is fine" dog. I don't know how to make emotes in Rumble, so I don't have channel emotes, but I like the fact that you people sometimes bring in your emotes when you're chatting in Rumble. The Mogwai has joined us. A fool and his money are soon parted. Just saying, just saying. Well, again, if it's something you believe in, it's between you and Elena Cardone. Can I do that to Henry Masters? Fuck you, pay me. Side note on that. My cousin, who was a pasty white rap band in the early 2000s. Sorry, Jason. My cousin, who was a pasty white rap band in the early 2000s. He had a mix CD that he played in his car. And there was an interlude from there, and I don't know what movie it's from, but it was a spoken word interlude, and it came right before he had the track of "It's Getting Hot in Here," and it was a guy that's basically coming out and saying, "Oh, you like the money hood? You like the loan and everything? Well, no, you need to pay that back, and go out and fuck you, pay me." And you say you don't have any money to come back out here. Fuck you, pay me. And when you can't pay anymore and the money's all run out, then you walk out and you light a match and you blow the joint. I have no idea what that was from. I always laughed my ass off when it came on, though. So that is, by the way, the GoFundMe. If you guys do want to donate to it, I believe I have that linked in the Discord. If not, let me put it in there real quick, and I'll put it in the live chats for you as well. Or if you just want to check it out and see if you can see what the comments say. There are a few comments, and I don't know if they shut the comments off because I haven't been able to see them recently. But I know there was a while where all the comments, like, there were people who were donating to the fundraiser just to say, haha, fuck you, Orange Man. Which is just capitalism at its peak. Paying money to insult somebody. GoFundMe will shut this down faster than an orgy at a convent. Apparently not, because it's been up for 4 days once it turns against them. I don't know if that's going to be the case either. Oh, by the way, I was putting this in chat. Let's put this here. Here we go. And we'll keep going with this. A response: GoFundMe launched to help pay Trump's legal fees, from Sarah Polis. We'll briefly read from The Hill. The wife of an investor has launched a GoFundMe to help fund former president's mounting legal expenses in the wake of Friday's verdict in the New York fraud case. The GoFundMe has a goal of $355 billion, the amount that Judge Arthur Engoron ordered Trump to pay in penalties in civil fraud case. As of Saturday night, the GoFundMe already has raised more than $185,000 from some 4,000 donors. Well, that's considerably more at this point, with interest. Trump and his businesses could pay more than $450 million, according to the New York AG's office. Dual Helix is here. Dual Helix, welcome. The online fundraiser was started by Elena Cardone, the wife of investor Grant Cardone, an entrepreneur and investor. I stand unwaveringly with President Trump in the face of what I see as an unprecedented and unfair treatment by certain judicial elements in New York, Elena Cardone wrote on the GoFundMe page. Trump's attorney slammed the Friday verdict, calling it a politically fueled witch hunt, and said the former president will appeal the ruling. Which, by the way, that's the other question that I have with something like this is, if they do get the appeal and get a stay put on this, or get it thrown out completely, what happens to the money in the GoFundMe? Like, what happens with all that money after the fact? That's a legitimate question that I have. Are they going to use it for campaign? Which I think most people that have donated to this would be okay with it being used for the campaign. Yes, even the $20 I fucking hate Donald Trump donations. Again, capitalism at its absolute finest. But what happens to all the cash after the fact? Now, with all the calls to shut it down, GoFundMe has responded. I have not pre-read this, so I kind of wonder if they're going to be in line with what it was that I said. I'm going to take some of these tabs down too, by the way. Just because I know the old computer is lagging a little bit. Alright, from Newsweek. Hey, they have a fairness meter. It's Newsweek, it's not fair. Kate Plummer reporting. GoFundMe has responded to concerns a page set up after Trump was fined in a civil fraud judgment is in breach of the platform's rules. Speaking to Newsweek, a spokesperson for the platform confirmed that the page, which was set up for the former president on Friday following Judge Engoron's ruling that Trump will have to pay roughly $355 million in penalties for fraud, was well within the terms and services, despite people voicing their concerns about it on social media. On Friday, it was ruled Trump and top executives at the Trump Organization committed fraud by inflating the value of his assets. Yeah. Elena Cardone, the wife of businessman Grant Cardone, made the GoFundMe. But writing on X, formerly Twitter, some raised concerns that the page could be in breach of the platform's rules about fundraising for those convicted for crimes and called for it to be shut down. One user, Ginny McDonald, wrote, "Hey GoFundMe, I think you need to shut this down. Trump can't profit from his crime according to your guidelines." Another user wrote, "Hey GoFundMe, isn't this against the rules to raise money for criminals?" A third said, "Dear GoFundMe, the Trump fundraiser violates the rules unless you will fund people convicted of financial and violent crimes as Trump has been." Which is false, by the way, in both counts. Another said, "If true, Trump is violating your rules by accepting donations to repay himself for his defense." Which is also not true, by the way. GoFundMe does not allow campaigns for the legal defense of financial crimes. Trump is violating your terms and any funds shouldn't reach him. Experts raised concerns about the fundraiser. Former prosecutor Gene Rossi said the New York fraud trial opinion establishes one major theme: Trump world is a financial mirage, perpetrated by a family of grifters and sycophant employees. Yeah, that's objective. The GoFundMe proposal is an unsurprising offshoot, and it against the platform's strict rules and likely to end up in court with a request for an injunction or other civil remedy. Plus, there may be criminal implications if the GoFundMe sponsors know that they are doing is itself a fraud in another Trump mess. But Jalen Drummond, the director of public affairs, told Newsweek this fundraiser are currently within our terms of service. He doesn't say why, at least not in this article, but like I said, he's absolutely correct. This is a civil penalty. It is 100% in the terms of service because there's been no criminal conviction for this. So you can sit and cry about it on X all you want. All right, let's talk about the truckers. Chuck Calesto reporting, breaking report. Truckers supporting Trump to refuse all loads going into New York City regardless of the offer. And also from X, Jack Danger. Breaking, truckers are reportedly in talks to refuse delivering loads to New York City beginning on Monday in solidarity with former President Trump in the wake of the $350 million fraud case against him. Thoughts? Well, here are some thoughts, and I didn't have an article to go with this, but I want to talk about this. Number one, the person who organized this initially does seem himself to have backed down from this. But this is in and of itself a form of peaceful protest. If, by the way, you are not working for a company to do so. Now, in working for a company, there are options to do this as well. My friend Saint, I do hope he doesn't mind me bringing this up to use as the example. After having, and this wasn't anything political, even though I know that he hates California for political reasons as well, but after having a number of violations on California entrance scales that were not problems anywhere else in the country, and he was working as a company driver, but having problem after problem trying to enter California, he eventually told his dispatcher, no, fuck this. I'm not going to California anymore. I am not taking any dispatch loads into the state of California. And he could do this as a company driver. Whether or not you can do that if you are a company driver, that is between you and your dispatcher. Do not go in and tell your dispatcher to go and fuck himself unless you are in a position where you can walk home. Unless you know for sure that your dispatcher will respect your wishes. Don't risk your job over something like this. What's funny though too is the fact that like, people are saying, oh, well, if you won't take your loads into New York City, we're just going to fire you. Dude, you can't fire an owner-operator. And these people have absolutely no idea how any of this works. The dispatcher or the owner-operator himself knows what loads he's taking, where they're supposed to go, whether or not he can get from point A to point B in a given amount of time. And yes, he picks and chooses his loads based on the cost, based on the anticipated location, and based on anticipated problems going in and about the transit. Yes, you can absolutely 100% pick and choose your loads. And yes, those loads that are up there on the dispatch boards, they are going to they'll get picked up by somebody else. But if enough people, now, you're never going to have 100% of truckers stopping transit into New York or the local ports around it. There are enough company drivers out there that will say, you go here or you're fired. And there are enough people that need the job right now. But even if you take 15-20% of the drivers out in New York City and make a high demand for drivers where there's not a supply to keep up with it, the prices of loads have to go up to try to entice more drivers to come into them and take them. Which is going to make groceries in New York even more expensive. Does it completely shut down New York? Absolutely not. Does it hurt them a little bit? Absolutely. Mokwai says, I think that is so stupid. You're going to give up a load that will be picked up by someone within an ish on their name from a country that was used as a basis for RE4, Resident Evil 4. It's not going to stop the run. It's not like the people marching across the bridges. Well, and one of the problems there too is the fact that, well, the problems for the liberals are the fact of, like, they want a trucker protest where truckers blockade New York, or they park their trucks across the Holland Tunnel and don't let anybody in or out, because then they can identify the trucker and they can go back and freeze and shut down their bank accounts. But that's not what this is. This is just an owner-operator looking up and saying, yeah, New York, fuck that. I don't want my truck in that city. It is a form of peaceful protest, and yes, somebody else is going to come back and pick up that load. I had one person I was arguing with on X that was saying, oh, well, once we find out who these shitty fucking MAGA Trumper piece of shit truckers are, then we won't give them loads. We won't hire them for any loads. I'm like, congratulations. You discovered freedom of association, which is the point that the truckers are making on this. They're exercising their freedom of association not to go into New York. So, we'll see. Alright, let's grab one from our friends over at CNN. On the positive side, Donald Trump just got the green light to return to Wall Street. From Matt Egan. Months after leaving the White House, former President Trump began plotting his return to Wall Street. That return, delayed by years of regulatory and legal hurdles, is now on the verge of becoming a reality. By the way, probably just in time for him to have to divest again, oddly enough, and could make Trump a fortune. Regulators have finally given the green light to a controversial merger between Truth Social owner, Trump Media and Technology Group, and a blank check company. The blessing from Securities and Exchange Commission removes the last major obstacle holding back the deal. The merger, if approved by shareholders, would pave the way for Trump Media to become a publicly traded company. One where Trump will own a dominant stake that could be worth billions. Billions! Digital World Acquisition Group, the blank check firm, announced that on Wednesday the SEC signed off on the merger proxy for the deal. A date for a shareholder vote will be set by Friday. It does look like this deal is going to reach the finish line now after more than 2 years of delays, said Jay Ritter, a financial professor at the University of Florida. Trump's stake could be worth $4 billion with a B, which, by the way, if this does go public, I'm not going to give you official financial advice, but I'm going to buy into this, because I think this is going to do something. I'm not going to spend a fortune in it, but I'm going to throw a $20 bill at it just to see what it does. This is not official financial advice. Check with your financial advisor to see what is best for you, your retirement, and your portfolio. The Mokwai says the MAGA truckers are easy to find. They have a Camping World-size Trump 2024 flag flying from their trucks. Right, but you don't know, unless you actually physically record the conversation, you have no idea who refused to take the load. What you're talking about is profiling, and profiling is wrong. Shares of Digital World, a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC, spiked 15% on major milestone. The stock has nearly tripled this year, fueled by Trump's political success in the Republican presidential primary, and now the merger process. Ritter estimates the merger could have paved the way for about $270 million of cash coming into Trump Media. Funds the company could fuel Trump's Truth Social's growth. Trump is set to hold a dominant position in the newly combined company, owning roughly 79 million shares, according to the SEC filings. The former president's personal stake could be valued at $4 billion, based on Digital World's current trading price of about $50. Yeah, what do you think is going to happen to Engeron's case at that point? Let me just put out 1 million shares here. $50. That'll be enough. Of course, as Ritter notes, it would be very difficult for Trump to translate that paper wealth into actual cash. Really? You don't think people will be out there buying this? Not only would Trump be subject to a lockup period that would prevent he and other insiders from selling until 6 months after the merger, but the new company's fortunes would be closely associated with the former president. That could make it difficult for Trump to sell or even after the lockup period expires. Are you kidding? Have you met MAGA people? There's a religious devotion to there. If he says, look, I need to sell 10 million shares, pay my legal bills, here are my fine people, very fine people, buy my shares. Dude, people will be lined up around the block to buy the shares of this. This is a meme stock. Moreover, there are major questions about the sky-high valuation being placed on this media company. This is a meme stock. The valuation is totally divorced from the fundamental value of the company, said Ritter. Digital World share price values the company at up to $8 billion on a fully diluted basis, which includes all the shares and options that could be converted to common stock, according to Ritter. I mean, if you want to call it a cult, that's on you, but, well, on Rumble, you're probably not in a lot of company to do so. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. The Fannie Willis thing, which is a little bit hilarious. Not gonna lie. Fannie Willis takes the stand as she fights to stay on the Trump criminal case. Kyle Cheney and Josh Gerstein reporting. The lead prosecutor in the Georgia case against Donald Trump took the witness stand Thursday and lashed out at those seeking to remove her from one of the most significant criminal cases in American history. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis grew increasingly combative with defense attorneys who accused her of having a conflict of interest stemming from her romantic relationship with Nathan Wade, a special prosecutor. She hired to help run the case. Attorneys for Trump and several other defendants say Willis improperly benefited from the case because Wade allegedly used income from his work on the case to pay for numerous vacations that he took with Willis to places like Aruba and Belize. Well, where he needed to go was Aruba and Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Maybe they could go to Key Largo or Montego. Baby, why don't we go down to Kokomo? You're confused, Willis told Ashley Merchant, an attorney for one of Trump's co-defendants, repeatedly accusing her of lying in court documents. You think I'm on trial? These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial no matter how hard you try to put me on trial, except for the fact that you're literally on trial. It was an extraordinary sight. During the acrimonious day-long hearing, the top prosecutor, in a historic case against the former president for efforts to subvert the 2020 presidential election, was one on the witness stand parrying deeply invasive questions about her personal life. There is so much spin on this. Maytag would be jealous. Her choice to testify was even more remarkable because the judge in the case, Scott McAfee, may not have required it at all. Willis had initially objected to efforts to compel her testimony, which she has the right to with the Fifth Amendment, and had urged McAfee to scuttle a subpoena. But as one of her deputies was objecting Thursday to her being forced to testify, Willis entered the courtroom and said she wanted to take the stand after all. Well, yeah, I mean, and maybe a few articles down here, we've got one from The Root that legitimately comes out and says, "Sassy black woman gonna come out and turn the tables on everybody, sassy." Willis's decision underscored the stakes of the fight if McAfee removes her from the prosecution. Her entire office would be disqualified, causing major disruption in the case, if not derailing it altogether. The hearing ended on Thursday in the middle of Willis's testimony. She will return to the stand on Friday morning, which she did not do. This is an article that was published after the fact. She did not wind up going back to the stand on Friday morning. There is a bigger problem with this if you are on the Democratic side. If you want to see the orange man put into manacles in a position that he cannot pardon himself from, because this is a state crime. If Fani Willis is removed from the case, which it looks like she is going to be, the person who appoints the prosecutor, the federal judge in the case who appoints the next prosecutor, the Secretary of State is a Republican nominee who gets the say on who gets picked for this. And who's to say then, when the next prosecutor comes in as a Republican nominee, he doesn't just come back out and say, "Rico, are you out of your fucking mind? This is dismissed. We're not pressing charges anymore." And it would be completely within his purview to do so. Again, we'd be in a position where half the country wouldn't accept it, but he would be completely within his purview to do so. The Mogwai says, "So much spin, there's a Myrtle Beach trailer park in ruins. That is dark." Her testimony careened between indignantly defending her prosecution of Trump and many of his allies, which was not what was on trial from this, by the way, accusing her adversaries of working contrary to democracy, and sharing deeply personal, sometimes unsolicited details about her relationship history, her vacations, and regular use of cash for major expenses. Willis talked about how she did 50 big, a reference to her significant travels in 2021, the year she turned 50, her preference for a Grey Goose over wine, and her father's lifelong urging that she stash thousands of dollars in cash at her home at all times. Willis described reimbursing Wade in cash for some of the travel expenses. "I don't do that to my friends like that," she said. "If you tell me it's a G, then you're going to get $1,000 back." She also described breaking up with Wade in August of 2023, the same month she secured the grand jury racketeering indictment against Trump and 18 co-defendants. She said they disagreed in part over his views about women. Oh, bullshit. So that is where they're at with that. I love the fact that I'm not on trial. You're on trial. From the Associated Press, Joel Helix says, "My stupid internet is being stupid." Well, that sounds stupid. "And my dog is being a jerk." He loves you. He's not being a jerk. He loves you. Mogwai says, "Witch hunt. Try my computer for a day." I would probably like to. I don't know. Mine is pretty good, but I know that I'm lacking in RAM. because when I built the computer, all computer components were highly inflated at the time. I want to go to 64 gigs now that some of the RAM costs have come down. Kate Brumback and Alana Durkin-Richer reporting. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis took to the witness stand Thursday and forcefully pushed back against what she described as lies about her romantic relationship with special prosecutor during an extraordinary hearing over misconduct allegations that threatened to upend one of 4 criminal cases against Trump. A visibly upset Willis, who originally fought to stay off the witness stand, agreed to testify. We know that. Willis expected to return. We know that one. This looks like this is mostly a repeat. Robin Yeardy, a former friend and co-worker of Willis, testified earlier Thursday that she saw Willis and Wade hugging and kissing before he was hired as a special prosecutor in November of 2021. Wade and Willis both testified that they didn't start dating until 2022 and that their relationship ended months ago. The Mogwai with the Lindsey Graham joke, of course. Lindsey Graham has volunteered to help you with RAM. Just saying. What's a rerun? Hey, I've seen this one! How could you have seen it? It's brand new. Well, I saw it on a rerun. What's a rerun? I love that movie. That's one of the 5 movies I've ever seen in my life. Back to the Future. Let's see. Oh, we're going through some computer jargon here, which I am not a computer scientist. I have basically a remedial understanding of how to do this. I'd like to actually take a correspondence course and learn how to do some of this stuff. I asked my friend Seawall if there's any resources or anything that I can do just to self-teach with. CNN takeaways. Hey, look, there's a still that I want. You guys, a side note off this, you have no idea how good it smells in here. Just on the other side of that screen over here to my left, there is a bucket of pineapple fermenting for wine. And it smells so good. Like, the breakdown with Birkenhoff, Wyatt Birkenhoff, who you guys seen here every once in a while, was, he tried to urge me and say that, oh, it's going to smell terrible in there because of the yeast smell. Dude, everything that I have fermented for wine smells amazing. I'm glad I learned to do this. Even if I don't make a commercial success off of making wine and liquor, the fact that I can do it, number 1, by myself, and number 2, the smells that I get from it make it all worth it. Lulu Lunar says, shut up. I don't know who he's talking about, but I mean, I'm the host. I'm supposed to keep talking. Anyway, let's keep going. Takeaways. Marshall Cohen, Devon Cole, Holmes Lybrand, and Caitlin Palance reporting. The Georgia election subversion case against Trump and 14 of his allies took a stunning turn on Thursday when the 2 top prosecutors testified under oath about their romantic relationship at a hearing triggered by allegations of self-dealing that have the potential to derail the indictment. Just a reminder, and I said this when this first came up, it doesn't matter who was fucking who at what time. What matters is the fact that, I mean, this is just like the case with Ilhan Omar, that was her name, where she paid millions of dollars into Tim Mynette's political advising firm and then married him, gaining access to half of those assets. I like pineapple sangria. I don't know if this is going to be sangria or just regular wine. I can put the recipe that I'm using in the Discord. But I'm telling you right off the bat, it smells absolutely fantastic. Are you making strawberry wine in 17? The hot July moon saw everything? Well, no, I'm not going to mess around with anybody that's 17 because that would put me in prison, and not like a white-collar financial prison. That would be like pack the bags and tape my butt shut prison. And I don't want to go to that. But I would probably make some strawberry wine. I have a recipe for it. I'm interested in the watermelon wine, and there's actually a community not that far from here that does a watermelon festival where I can probably get some for pretty cheap. And I grew up near that community, so I know some of the growers too. I'm going to do that this summer. I know I'm going to do that this summer, and I'm actually kind of excited for it. A Carter sang that song. You are correct. Yeah, the watermelon wine causes the watermelon crawl. Just saying. Exactly the reason I'm doing that. By the way, Mogwai, we're having a Thursday show. I'm looking at the stack right now thinking to myself, yep, we're going to get there. Alright, takeaways. Willis's defiant afternoon on the stand. What unfolded on Thursday is extremely rare in American courtrooms. The DA, who has charged Trump with racketeering, went under oath to defend her ethics and answer personal questions about her relationship with Wade. The risk could not be greater, and Willis's credibility is on the line. Things went quickly off the rails. Willis didn't act much like a traditional witness and was more like a prosecutor, arguing with the defense attorneys, raising objections, making legal arguments, and even having exchanges with the judge. She even raised her voice at one point. "I'm not on trial," Willis says. "Yes, you are. You embezzled money. You are on trial." When did the relationship start? Nobody gives a fuck. What matters is, well, the position that the relationship would have given Nathan Wade, and what he was doing with the money that he was being overpaid for. Wade and Willis describe using cash for reimbursements because they can't trace them. And Willis, "I don't need anybody to foot my bills." And yet, here we are. And CNN with their own spin on this. Huge distraction from the charges against Trump, for now. But are they, though? Are they? You've paid a special prosecutor well more than his skill level and position would actually demand to trump up charges against Trump, no pun intended, after you ran on the fact that you were going to get him. It's not a distraction, it's a legitimate concern. Within today, we've actually got some breaking news with this one. And that is the fact we have another witness saying that he saw the cash payments. From Newsweek, Kate Plummer again reporting. Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade paid for a wine tasting session in 2023 using cash, according to a new witness to the pair's affair. Stan Brody, who works at Acumen Wines, told CNN that he hosted Willis and a man he later learned was Special Prosecutor Wade at the 2-hour wine tasting in early 2023. Brody said that Willis paid with cash for the 2 bottles of wine, each valued roughly $150, and for the $50 tasting, which, I mean, that's not huge. Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, gave evidence in a 2-day hearing following the accusations by former Trump staffer and co-defendant Michael Roman, and she was having an affair with Wade, a special prosecutor she hired in the high-profile case. Newsweek has contacted Willis via LinkedIn for comment on Tuesday. Roman said Willis and Wade had benefited financially from the taxpayers' money. The pair later admitted they had a romantic relationship, but denied the conflict of interest. During the hearing, the pair were questioned about the lack of receipts they had to show money changing hands. However, Wade testified that Willis paid for cash and excursions on at least one vacation and paid him back for the plane flights and other travel. She paid for the excursion, so the expenses sort of balanced out, Wade said. Barbara McQuaid, a former U.S. attorney under Barack Obama admin and MSDNC legal analyst, she wrote on X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday, Fani Willis made a terrible decision to date Nathan Wade, and that may bring ethics issues for her, but her testimony dispelled any kickback schemes that would disqualify her. Nothing about this affects her fair trial rights of Trump and co-defendants. Yeah, this was private practice she'd already be done, so we've got that. The Daily Wire reports. Game over for her. MSDNC analyst says Fani Willis's case against Trump is dead. Virginia Kruta reporting. And we've got video of this one, which is good because I've pretty much been talking from the beginning to the end of this. We haven't really watched any video yet this episode, and I'm starting to trip over words. MSDNC legal analyst Carolyn Polisi declared on Thursday that Fulton County DA Fani Willis's case against former President Trump is effectively dead in the water. Polisi tied her assessment to a bombshell revelation that came out Thursday morning, namely that Willis was romantically involved with her hand-selected special prosecutor Nathan Wade much earlier than she admitted to the court. Let's listen.
It's so legalistic centric and yet so important and fascinating.
Right. Don't let the legalese fool you. This is epic. This is monumental. If things are going in the direction we think, Fani Willis lied to the court. It's game over for her. She will be disqualified. If they had a relationship prior to when they represented to the court, it's a huge deal. I can't overstate it.
And do you feel the same way, Charles, based on the testimony of what we just heard? And we just learned Nathan Wade, who is the special prosecutor in this case, walked in the courtroom. He is being sworn in to testify now about this issue and his relationship with Fani Willis. Let's listen.
And they cut this out here. Pelosi laid out similar, if more succinct feelings via X, saying, Fani Willis's case is over. She lied to the court. Case closed. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade lied to the court. Game over. The case is dead, she added. Polisi gave an additional statement to Mediaite explaining just how damaging the fallout could be for the case against Trump if Willis were to be disqualified. Willis will be disqualified, which means her entire office is disqualified, which means the case will have to be reassigned and languish with the PAC of Georgia, effectively killing the case. Her credibility is completely shot. So, we'll see. I've got a feeling that the DNC has some tricks up their sleeve to keep her on this case. I don't know what they are yet, but we will continue to watch. And before we move on from this, I just want to touch briefly on this one here from The Root. And yes, Mogwai, by the way, we will probably be having the Thursday show. I know you're always excited for those. Let's check up with the chat here quick before I get into this one. The Mogwai says, I'm over here thinking Willis would have made the world's worst sex tape. I want to touch on that in just a sec. Let me check over with Rumble here. Ryan County in Wisconsin says Lulu Lunar. No, this is actually in Minnesota. I don't know if there's a Ryan County in Wisconsin. There isn't one in Georgia. I looked into that because I regularly go and visit the Zeds during the summertime, and I wanted to go to Rhine County to taste their watermelon wine, made from the biggest watermelons on the vine. But when I did the Wikipedia on the song, I found out that the county that they reference is fictitious. Lulu Lunar says, never in my life had a drink that cost so much. I have not paid for a drink that cost so much. I did win in a pool tournament a shot of Blue Label, which is $150 an ounce. I did win that, tried it. It was delicious. But not something that I would spend money on regularly. Dual Helix says, they call her Fawny because a fanny is a British slang for a vagina. Alright, the world's worst sex tape thing, I want to just touch on that. If I was a Democrat and running for office and wanted to commit some major financial crimes, I would fuck somebody I wasn't supposed to be fucking in the midst of it. Because I know that the media will run cover for me at that point. Although, maybe not for me because I'm a straight white male. Oh, well, maybe Bill Clinton, I guess, would do that. Because that's how it always goes. Like with the Clinton thing. Clinton was not impeached for getting his dick sucked by Monica Lewinsky. Bill Clinton was impeached for perjury. And even though I was only like 12 when this happened in middle school, even I know. You wouldn't know that by listening to the radio and watching the TV. You would think that he was on trial and getting impeached, attempted to be removed from office for getting his dick sucked in the Oval Office. He was perjured, he lost his license to practice law, and a host of other problems with that, but it wasn't about getting his dick sucked in the Oval Office. Ilhan Omar, the previously mentioned, committed millions of dollars in embezzlement by marrying her political advisor, who she paid millions of dollars to. Fani Willis is on trial for financially benefiting herself through the taxpayer funding and embezzling money through her special prosecutor. And all the media focuses on the fact that she's a I don't go down without a fight, and that they think that this is all about the fact that she was fucking Nathan Wade. I'm telling you, if you're a Democrat and you want to do something financially funny, fuck someone you're not supposed to be fucking while you're doing it. Candace McDuffie reporting. These are the world's worst ads to be on the side of this, and my ad blocker is supposed to take care of those, by the way. When Fulton County DA Fani Willis took the stand Thursday during Trump's Georgia election subversion case, she came ready to speak her mind. When black women are challenged professionally, we will not go down without a fight, as Victor Shi widely noted on X, which is a trait which Willis personified. Which Victor Shi is a small Korean boy, so I don't know where he's getting the fact that he's black or a woman. Instead of opting out of testifying, she wanted to address rumors of a romantic relationship she allegedly had with Nathan Wade, the man she hired to be a part of the prosecution team in 2021. Scott McAfee convened the all-day hearing, which culminated with the testimony of Willis. The prominent DA showed what a powerhouse she is. Not only did she choose to testify, but she did so with unwavering confidence. Trump co-defendant Michael Roman and his attorney Ashley Merchant are the ones seeking the removal of Willis and the dismissal of the indictment in the case. When Merchant questioned Willis, she looked her in the eyes and she answered the questions in a direct manner. I very much want to be here. I am not a hostile witness, Willis said on the stand. We used to be in a day and time where we had 60 minutes and people verified information, And we had this great reporting, but we seen today a lawyer writes a lie and sprinting for the world to see, she continued. Yeah. Well, that's the roots, so take that with what you will. 135. I guess we continue with the Trump news. All right. From Axios. Trump's high-top sneakers sell out hours after launch. What a gaudy piece of crap, by the way. I don't know if I would ever be seen with those. Much less, I mean, that's not something you would wear if you bought it, but still. Former President Trump's high-top sneakers sold out hours after their launch on Saturday with SneakerCon in Philadelphia. The shoes, called the Never Surrender high-top sneaker, sell for $399. The pair, along with the two low-top sneakers and a $99 bottle of Victory 47 perfume and cologne, were available for purchase on a new website. We can look at the website. You know I'm going to look at the website. They're sold out. Trump's president's official sneaker. Buy now. $3.99 pre-order. Super limited. Only 1,000 pairs. At least 10 randomly autographed by Trump. Jeez. No. No. I can't cringe that hard. Ah. What are you saying? I just want to tell you, I wanted to do this for a long time. The longest time. Trump said Saturday when unveiling the sneaker line. I have some incredible people that want to work with me on things, and they came up with this, and this is something I've been talking about for 12, 13 years. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. Huge success. Only 1,000 pairs of the gold shoes were available, per the sneaker website, which described the sneakers as super limited. At least 10 of the gold sneakers were randomly autographed by Trump, according to a website. Trump also launched the T Red Wave sneaker and the POTUS 45, both priced at $199. If I am paying $200 for a pair of shoes, they're going to be boots. The products are registered trademarks and or trademarks of CIC Ventures LLC, per the website. Trump sneakers are not designed, manufactured, distributed, or sold by Donald J. Trump, the Trump Organization, or any other respective affiliates or principals, it notes, so they can be sold in New York. 45 Footwear LLC uses the Trump name, images, and likeness under a license agreement, so they can be sold in New York. So apparently a bunch of people wanted them. I can't wrap my head around that. I mean, I don't really do a lot of collectible merchandise to begin with, but already they're talking lawsuit. Newsweek reports, could Trump's gold sneakers open him up to a lawsuit? Anna Skinner reporting, a blog dedicated to fashion law claimed that Trump could soon face another lawsuit after he revealed his new signature sneaker line at SneakerCon at the Philadelphia Convention Center over the weekend. The former president launched the custom Trump-branded sneakers on Saturday. The new sneaker line includes the Never Surrender high tops, priced at $399, Only 1,000 pairs of the shoes were made, according to the Trump sneaker website, and they sold out over the weekend. However, the blog, The Fashion Law, said renowned shoe designer Christian Louboutin could argue that the former president copied the red soles design from his trademarked red soles for men and women, though proof of the anticipated lawsuit referenced in the blog is non-existent. Yeah, that's because you can't claim that without trying to take Nike down. And you don't have enough lawyers for that. A pair of limited edition sneakers that Trump revealed at SneakerCon in Philadelphia this weekend look like a lawsuit waiting to happen, the blog said. Looking beyond the gold body of the Never Surrender high tops, the stars and stripes design that wraps around the ankle, and the boldly emblazoned letter T that adorns the side of the shoes. At the heart of the, and as of now, hypothetical lawsuit that very well could be waged against the 2025 hopeful is the red hued soles. As most will know, the particular design element is the well-established signature of another footwear brand, Christian Louboutin. That's a stretch, dude. I mean, do it up. I want to see where you go with that, but I'm telling you, I don't think you got a case. Alright, we are 140 in. And the next thing that I have is a lengthy segment on shootings. And you know what, let's do that, and then we'll do the foreign news on Thursday. Let me think about that for a second. Do I want to just lump this all together? Yeah, we'll do the rest of the stack here on Thursday. We'll finish out for the night here, because this is going to be lengthy, I know, because I'm going to go ranting at it. And this is going to be like a huge portion of the election, because they're going to keep trying to pull off these shootings and publicize them and then push them out of the media when they're no longer relevant. All right, let's do things I like and things that I hate. But first, we have got Dual Helix's favorite segment, the rules of acquisition. Every night, as we go through and talk about what we close out the show with, we look at the Ferengi rules of acquisition. For those of you not familiar with the Star Trek timeline, the Ferengi are a hyper-capitalistic race of large-eared aliens whose religion revolves around 400 rules that must be kept in order to get into the divine treasury at the end of life and bid for your next life. Every week we go over one of these rules, explain how it was used in canon, either alpha or beta depending on where it comes from, and how we can use it, if possible, in our real lives. We looked at the 263rd rule of acquisition. Never allow doubt to tarnish your lust for latinum last week. From Bar Association. With no in canon 264th or 265th rule of acquisition, we are at the 266th rule of acquisition tonight. When in doubt, lie. I mean, where would we be in a political show without actually looking at that rule? Our political bettors love to lie. They certainly do. Now, I am not going to advocate for one of the 7 deadly sins to you. Yes, occasionally you have to look at the situation and say, do I tell the whole truth, do I stretch it, or do I outright lie? This is not one of those where I consider something where we can use in regular canon. This is from a reference book, so this was not used on screen or anything with that. This is one of those rules where Roddenberry, being the avowed communist that he was, did try to paint the Ferengi and capitalism itself in a fully dishonest light. Now, again, there's a big difference between stretching the truth a little bit to try to make the sale and outright saying, hey, this will cure cancer. One of those things you can't do on YouTube, by the way. So this is one where you use your best judgment. You might not be able to bid on your next life with the currency from doing this one. So, the 266th rule of acquisition: when in doubt, lie. Use your best judgment. Let's do some things I like and some things that I hate. Thing I like number one here is Nikki Haley. The hits keep coming with this one, and it's not so much the fact that she did this. It's the fact that the memes came out so quickly off of this one. This woman got humiliated by this, and I think she still thinks that she's on top with this one here. Nikki Haley X'd out at 4:20 p.m. on Sunday. 12 fellas down, 1 to go, which is an image that I did not want in my head, especially with her alleged infidelity. And like I said in one of my videos citing not to make politicians your moral betters, what Nikki Haley does in the privacy of her bedroom or somebody else's bedroom is not any of our business. But when she gets accused of cheating on her husband and then comes out with an ex like this, no, and I know what she was going to do. She was going to try to say that she took down everybody else who were all men in the Republican primary field. Well, she didn't. Well, she might have, but some of them at least behind closed doors, but she's sitting here holding in for desperation right now. But the memes that came out of this sticks. You're literally insane. Get checked for syphilis and its neurological effects. This one, of course, this woman. Ha, amateur. Martha Bueno, you're a married woman. Don't post this so publicly. What staff? Because I know that she doesn't run her own Twitter account. What fucking staffer looked at this with the accusations of infidelity out there and said, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. I have no idea. But, yeah, this woman made an appearance again. Libertarian Mama says, you might want to fire a social media director or don't. Like, this is not the first time this confusion has come into my mind either. So, I had a friend when I lived out in Mass. Was one of my best friends for a very, very long time. But when I first moved back here, and I'd never heard of the franchise Five Guys Burgers and Fries before that. My friend, and myself too at the time, we were both relatively promiscuous at the time and pretty open about it. Like, we felt empowered by our promiscuity, both of us at the time. And she's, give or take, about the same age as me. I think she's like 1 or 2 years younger than me. But she posted on the Boomer Book one night. It was like I was still living in my aunt's house at the time. That was how close it was after I moved back, because I moved into the ghetto in Kenosha approximately 6 months after I came back. So it was within those 6 months. She posted on the old Boomer Book at the time. Pre-Boomer Book, of course. This was 08, when it was still kind of cool. She posted, it's a Five Guys kind of night. And I thought to myself, like, okay, I know that we're both very open about our sexualities, but do you really want to post this out publicly, my friend? And then, yes, I found out later that it was a burger franchise she was talking about, which I think at the time was a fairly new one. How Nikki Haley supports her deployed husband. Yeah, I just love the memes that came out of this. Oh, honey, no. So that's one that I like. In Elon news, which it looks like I'm going to have to refresh this one. Or archive it, one of the two. I know they're going to put the warning up here in just a sec. Come on. Yes, I know I'm using an ad blocker. I'm still not going to take it down for you, NBC. SpaceX files to move incorporation site from Delaware to Texas. Yes, please. Laura Kolodny reporting. SpaceX has filed to change its incorporation location from Texas to Texas from Delaware, according to public filings with the Texas Secretary of State's office. It's the latest move by Elon following a Delaware Chancery Court ruling that ordered Tesla to rescind the CEO's 2018 pay package, worth about $56 billion in options. Neuralink, another one of Musk's companies, has also begun moving its location of incorporation from Delaware to Nevada. Musk voiced a strong preference for moving his businesses out of Delaware after the court's decisions, and has encouraged other businesses to do so as well. He also promised that Tesla will hold a shareholder vote to get approval to move the company site of incorporation to Texas, which is good. And I think, honestly, a lot of people in the shareholder side of SpaceX especially are going to come out and say, hey, yeah, why are we doing this? Delaware hates us because we apparently support the evil orange man or don't support Biden enough. Why would we continue to pay taxes to this? It's the obvious choice. It absolutely is. And I'd like to see more of this. I mean, I know that it starts out with the idea of getting Tesla out of California, but I mean, these big blue states are only friendly to big companies that donate to big blue political campaigns. Since Elon has not done that anymore, these states are no longer friendly with him. They try to make life as hard as they can for him. I'm surprised honestly, there's still a Tesla factory in California. I thought for sure that would be destroyed by California policy by this point. Mind you, again, he could pick that up and move it to Texas, and I think a lot of people would support him about it. But yeah, I mean, if you're getting kicked around in taxes and businesses because you have the wrong political opinion, there shouldn't be anything stopping you from picking up and going somewhere friendlier. If the Evers government in Madison starts to try to bear down on distillers, or myself specifically because I don't like Tony Evers, you bet your ass I'm going to move to Iowa. I won't even think twice about it. I'm obviously not going to go to Minnesota or Illinois with it, but you bet your ass I will go straight to Iowa with it. Fuck that. Delaware is where government and NGOs file corporate records, and it's also a big one for credit card companies too, by the way. I don't know what the draw is, but I know it's a big one for credit card companies. And the last one of things that I like, I'm in support of this driver here, even though there are a lot of people in the comments that are saying that she's a Karen and she was wrong. I'll explain why, and why this landed on the things that I like side instead of the things that I hate. Wild Content says DoorDash driver refuses to give customers alcohol because he seemed drunk. Let's watch.
I mean, you look like you've been drinking, so I can't, yeah.
What you mean?
That's all I can tell you. Whoa.
Fuck on with that shit.
Alright, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah, you do that.
Just letting you know you're not allowed to do that.
Fuck wrong with you?
I mean, you look like you've been drinking, so I can't, yeah.
What you mean?
That's all I can tell you.
Now, that dude was in the wrong right then and there no matter what. 100% in the wrong. Now, the reason this landed on things that I like, and just looking at the, let's say, the very, very wrong opinions that are coming out of this, I will come out right out and say, I don't know where this happened, and I don't know what the local laws are where this happened. So I'm using my Wisconsin brain and our Wisconsin local laws. And what I learned when I had a bartender's license, as my standard for what makes this right and wrong. Obviously, what made this wrong, of course, was when he grabbed her, but what makes this right and this wrong? In Wisconsin, number one, we cannot deliver alcohol to DoorDash. So I know this is not happening in Wisconsin. But I can't imagine that the states where this is happening, that if you are delivering for DoorDash and you're delivering alcohol, bottled or otherwise, that they don't make you have a license for that. Because you need to have a license to sell it across the counter in most specified liquor establishments. You don't need it in a grocery store. But you do need to have somebody on site who is licensed to do it in a grocery store. At least in my state. But again, going into the idea of putting my Wisconsin cap on, and the fact that I've had a bartender's license in the state before, if you get caught selling alcohol to somebody who's obviously intoxicated in this state, you will lose your bartender's license, and you are subject to at least a $50,000 fine. You or your establishment, one of the two. I'm sorry, not at least, at most. You're subject to a $50,000 fine. And likely, especially given the interaction that we see here, the woman in question is in a state where the same rule applies. Again, I don't know what the rules are for delivery for alcohol because we don't have that here. And when I got my bartender's license, it was something that we didn't have to deal with. But this woman is in the right. And in all states that have bartender's licensing, you have wide discretion to use your best judgment to refuse service to anybody. Alright. Lulu Lunar says this stuff is made up for reactions. Dual Helix says if he was drunk, he would have drove to get his own alcohol. Or if he wasn't drunk, he would have driven to get his own alcohol. Brings up the issue. The government steps in to regulate. David Icke is a chooch in my book, but he is right about that. I don't know. I still think that she's in the right for this one. Because I wouldn't want to pay that fine. And you are an independent business as a DoorDash driver, so you, the DoorDash driver, would be paying the fine, not DoorDash. Keep that in mind. Alright, now let's do some things that I hate. Dual Helix, this one comes right out of your home state, Fox 31. Colorado's very own out of Denver. Colorado banned state use of gas-powered lawn equipment. Now, for the people who jumped on this right away, they looked at the title and they thought that all use of gas-powered lawn equipment was banned in Colorado. That is not the case. This does only pertain to state agencies, but if they're going to be doing this, the next question is going to be how long before the people do this, or are forced to do this, rather. And the second question comes down to, where's the line going to be? Samantha Jarp reporting. State agencies in Colorado will be banned from using certain gas-powered lawn equipment during the summer, according to a new rule adopted by the Colorado Air Quality Control Commission. The rule applies from June to August. During this time, state agencies will not be allowed to use gas-powered lawn equipment with engines of 25 horsepower or less. Which, by the way, when I was in high school, and this was part of a shop project, I had a push mower that would actually have gone above the cutoff because it was a 45 horsepower single-cylinder push mower. At least it was until I shot the piston through the side of it. Then it was a 0 horsepower push mower. The new regulation also prohibits the use of gas-powered push lawnmowers and other lawn equipment under 10 horsepower on other public property within the Denver Metro and North Front Range ozone non-attainment area. This area includes the Denver Metro as well as areas north of it through Larimer and Weld counties. The new rule is also in effect from June through August. The nonprofit Co-Perg Foundation released a report that found gas-powered lawnmowers and other lawn equipment generated an estimated 671 tons of fine particulate pollution in 2020. So, and again, I look at something like this and people say the slippery slope doesn't exist, and I tell them that they are out of their fucking minds because this is absolutely going to be used as a test to push this onto the regular public. But this is, yes, for now, restricted to state agencies only. The question that they didn't address, and I actually have to question that, is, does diesel count? The rider that my dad had, which is, of course is more than 25 horsepower as well, but the riding lawnmower my dad has is a diesel. Can we still do this with diesel engines or not? I have no idea. Other things that I hate today. Michigan is now asking residents to house illegals in their homes. How long before this becomes mandatory, and where do the illegals go when there's no more room in public housing facilities? Yet thousands more people are still coming daily. And the Midwesterner reporting to corroborate this, Gretchen Whitmer looking for Michigan residents to house immigrants. Kyle Olson reports. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's Office of Global Michigan is looking for resident volunteers to house illegal aliens in their homes and integrate them into society. ABC 12 reports Whitmer's admin is seeking volunteers to do several tasks, including meeting the person or family at the airport, helping to find housing, enroll the children in school, and help with finding employment for adults. The Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Development says residents who participate must make a 90-day commitment to apparently meet every migrant need. And where does that end, by the way? Programs like the Welcome Corps advance the Office of Global Michigan's mission to make Michigan the home of opportunity for our immigrant, refugee, and ethnic communities. Poppy Hernandez, Global Michigan Director and Michigan's Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer, said in a statement, "Expanded refugee resettlement pathways empower more Michiganders to support our state's growing refugee population and build a more welcoming and inclusive Michigan for all." Now, again, this is all voluntary at this point. Could this become mandatory? One of the big questions here, and I know that I brought up a lot after the Second Amendment fell under attack, the First Amendment fell under attack, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment have fallen under attack, and the 10th Amendment, of course, has fallen under attack, is how long before we get an attack on the Third Amendment? Now, these are not soldiers, but I still question whether or not this would fall under the Third Amendment jurisdiction, based on the fact that it's the government asking private housing to fulfill state needs. It would be a stretch on the Supreme Court, but I would think there would at least be a challenge there if they did try to make this mandatory. Yeah, the respect plate. Haha, I see that. That's funny, especially in an article like this. I would absolutely, if Tony Evers made this mandatory in Wisconsin, I would file a Third Amendment lawsuit. I don't know if I would win it or not, but that would be the first place that I would go to. We have vanity plates here in Colorado that say respect life, and every single person that has them are shit drivers. And you have one of the least abortion restrictive states, least restrictive abortion laws in the country as well, which I find a certain irony in as well. Respect life, out of my way. So, no, the government, I mean, again, volunteers and people who vote for illegal migration should absolutely volunteer to put people up in their homes. They rarely do. But as for now, it is a volunteer basis. The other question that I have for this is, if it did become a mandatory thing, would they go down with people who have been outspoken with the government and put them first on the list? People that would they consider political enemies, would they be the first on the list? Fox Night. Breaking. Senate Democrats are now pushing a new bill that prevents churches from having armed security. With Protestia coming in to talk about this one here, Senate Democrats proposed a bill that would criminalize armed church security in the wake, of course, of another church shooting. A recent Lifeway survey of Protestant pastors shows that armed congregants protect more than 50% of Protestant churches. While these security arrangements vary in their level of sophistication on a church-by-church basis, nearly the same number of pastors who report the use of armed congregants reports that there's an intentional plan in place to prepare for threats posed by an active shooter. By the way, and Reverend, if you're listening to this, I do carry while I'm in there, just in case somebody does go nuts. Though various state and local laws currently regulate and limit the use of concealed carry weapons by church security teams in various locales, a proposed federal law would criminalize the preparations made by many armed church security teams across the U.S. Sponsored in the U.S. Senate by Senator Markey and co-sponsored by Senator LaFonza Butler of California, the Preventing Private Military Activity Act of 2024 widely defines a paramilitary group as any group of 3 or more persons who function under a command structure as security services unit. So, what this means. Now, the law in effect does not specify churches, but what they specify is an organized group of 3 or more non-licensed security personnel as being against the law, which is what most of your churches have as a volunteer basis. A few armed congregants who conceal while they're in there, coordination with each other, and say, hey, this is what happens if X happens or Y happens or Z happens. But the bill itself has nothing to do with religion specifically, except for the fact that this is one of the biggest uses, or one of the biggest ways that churches defend themselves. I don't like the fact that the government itself is trying to tell us how we defend ourselves. That's completely against the Second Amendment, and I hope this gets soothed out. I do. More stuff that I hate. Most of this is government overreach, by the way. WSMV4 says a new bill could ban the sale of refrigerated cold beer in Tennessee. Why? This isn't Germany. We don't drink it warm. Caleb Wethington. A bill introduced in Tennessee could ban the sale of refrigerated or cold beer. The bill, SB 2636, aims to prohibit a beer permittee from selling at retail refrigerated or cold beer. It was introduced on January 31st in the House and Senate. So far, it's passed on the first and second consideration in the Senate and has been referred to the Senate's State and Local Government Committee. As introduced, lowers the threshold for enhancing the minimum sentence of a person convicted of driving under the influence of an intoxicant from a blood alcohol concentration of 0.2% or more to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.15% or more. Wow, is it that high down there? It's 0.08 here. Unless you have a CDL, then it's 0.04. As far as why they're doing it, I mean, it sucks no matter what. I think the rationale behind it is that people are going to the convenience store buying cold refrigerated beer and then drinking it on the way home. I don't know if there are people that are actually that stupid. Well, I know there are people that are that stupid. But I mean, you get done with work after a long, hard day. You're out of beer. You want to grab a cold one, especially in the middle of summer, to refresh yourself at the end of it. There's no reason for this. The government doesn't need to be involved in something like this. I mean, yes, they've got the regulation of sales otherwise, but people want cold beer, they're willing to pay for it. Vendors want to sell to people, so they refrigerate the beer. Where's the problem? Alright, a couple more. You know what? No, I'm going to do this one, then we'll save the other ones for the Thursday show. Texas Lindsay will get the last word on things that I hate tonight. Just now, which actually was a couple days ago, February 16th, so last Thursday, CNBC caught on hot mic while interviewing Meta's president of global affairs after he spouts off some wild numbers on Meta's trust and safety team and their budget to essentially censor people. After CNBC appears to advocate for the government to help censor election misinformation on social media, she then asks, CNBC, how many people do you have working on election misinformation? Meta, we have around 40,000 people working on election integrity and safety. On the hot mic, 40,000, but they only have 67,000 employees, which means that 2/3 of their employees are dedicated to election integrity and safety. Meta still going. We spend around $20 billion on the issue. We spent $5 billion last year alone on election integrity. Let's watch.
It does strike me that this is an issue, disinformation, misinformation, interference with the election that the government should be taking on. How many people do you have working on this issue, and how do you know what's enough?
So we have around 40,000 people working on kind of safety and integrity on our platforms. Generally, we spend a lot of money on it. We've spent about $20 billion in recent years on things like election integrity, about $5 billion in the last year alone. But here's the interesting point. You know, even if we employ double the number of content moderators that we have, actually, here's the irony. We're talking here about the risks of AI-generated content.
Did you hear that? Like, it was barely hearable or audible. Like, she whispered it on the hot mic, but...
But here's the interesting point. You know, even if we employ double the number of content moderators that we have, actually...
Like, unless you're listening through headphones right now, I don't know if you could actually hear that. I could barely hear it through headphones.
Double the number of content moderators that we have. Actually, you know, even if we employ double the number of content moderators that we have,
I don't think that second part was supposed to get out, though. Like, that's only 27,000 people that they have working on other things and 40,000 working on censorship. That's insanity, yo. Alright, and these other four here we will save for Thursday, I think. Because we are coming back on Thursday. We've got a lot of stuff to go over, and there was a lot of stuff here. So... let's switch out the scene and let's head out of here. It was a good show. It was a very Trumpy show, that's for sure. A lot of stuff there. Now, should we be talking more about Biden? Yes. Absolutely. But these shenanigans are going to go on to keep Trump in the news and make sure that he can't do a basement campaign where he just stays out and lets Biden put his foot in his mouth. Which needs to happen. They do. We need to be focusing more on the Biden admin for this. But, yeah, we're done. Throw the outro music up and head out of here for the night. Do I have outro music up? Apparently I don't. Must have reset my computer at some point before here. Where is my outro music? It's not over here, is it? There it is. Why is it under VLC? I don't want to play with VLC. I want to play with a Windows product. I swear I'm professional. I do this every week. I used to do it every day. I swear I know what I'm doing. I promise. Maybe. I don't know. Alright, anyway, we're going to head out of here for the night. Thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat. I know it looks like we had a bunch of people watching over on Rumble over here just because, again, the algorithm pushed us up to the front because Lulu Lunar and Dual Helix were carrying us over there. So, and again, the more you chat, the more we get in here and the more people that you will be watching here. So, anyway, I'm going to head out of here for the night. Thanks again, everybody, for coming in and hanging out here. We'll be back here on Thursday for more news and more headlines because, hey, we ran out of time and there were still a lot of headlines. So come back and join me. 6 p.m. Central Time for that, unless it goes to 7 because I got to stay late for work. There will be announcements on the X and on the Discord if that is the case. So, otherwise, Final Fantasy X tomorrow night. Maybe. Oh no, I'm going to do it tomorrow night. I just don't know what we're going to do with it. I want to finish that game. I want to play other stuff. We've got so many games up on the computer here that I want to play and not enough time for it. So come back and join me for that. It's going to be a fantastic time. We're going into one of the final battles with Sin at the end before we go into the core and finish up. I know I said this like 2 months ago, but we're only a couple episodes out from the end, so that'll be fun, and Fallout Friday as well. Take care. Have a fantastic night. We will see you here next time. If you're on Twitch, stick around for the raid, and we'll see you here next time for more news, more headlines, and more contemporary. And until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.